Welcome back, everybody. On today, I'm back with 4 interesting kitchen gadgets, all of them by request. So I want to see if any of these actually work as advertised. So let's jump right into the first item. Let's take a look at this crinkle cutter here. There it is, nice looking. I paid $15.98 for this on Amazon. Currently has a 4.4 star rating among about 600 reviews. They claim that it's a stainless steel zigzag knife that creates crinkle cuts. Good for fries or veggies. Effortless slicing, non-slip handle. They say it's a must-have tool for every kitchen. Now, fans of the product on Amazon say it creates perfect crinkle cut fries. It's easy to hold and they say it's well built. The main complaint I saw on Amazon that it was not very sharp, so we shall have to see about that. When I first saw this crinkle cut knife on Amazon, I knew I had to try it. It's so interesting looking. It feels pretty sharp. I'm not sure if it's as sharp as I ever felt, but maybe it'll get the job done. Now, mainly what they're showing this for is crinkle cut potatoes, including most of the Amazon commenters, but I'll try on a couple other things just to see how it works there. But let's start off with a fresh potato right here. Now, you can peel this, but I'm just gonna leave it unpeeled for this demonstration. So let's see what we got here. So first thing I'm gonna do is just cut the end off to get a feel for how sharp this is. Not the sharpest knife I've ever tried, but it did work. We do have a crinkle cut there, so that's a good start. Now let's try some actual crinkle cuts here. Okay, so far so good. The first cut wasn't bad. It doesn't seem terribly sharp, but it is getting the job done. It does feel a little bit awkward, but we do have some decent crinkle cuts here. This is how the first cut looks, not too bad. Let's keep going though. Now I believe we're supposed to cut this way to create the crinkle fry look. Not bad, what do you guys think? Let's try the rest of this here. Kind of fly through it. It's certainly working, although I can't say it's the sharpest knife I've ever used. I think after doing several potatoes, my hands start getting tired. Although I can go pretty quick. There's the final result. I think it came out pretty good. I think that's certainly acceptable looking crinkle cut fries, and it wasn't too bad. It's not quite as sharp as I hoped, but the final result looks pretty good. Let's try a couple other things here. Let's try a cucumber. Cucumber's a little softer, won't be as much resistance, so this should be easier. Oh yeah, no problem. No, it's gliding through this cucumber, no problem. It's certainly sharp enough for that. The potato is a little bit of a struggle, but the cucumber is no challenge whatsoever, and it looks nice. It looks nice. The potato was kind of difficult. Let's see how a carrot works now. Oh yeah, it's a little bit more challenging. Once again, the handle's comfortable. I will say that even though I'm kind of having to use a bit of elbow grease, the handle is comfortable. All right, I think it does work. The carrots look nice as well, so there we go. So the fries, the carrots, and the cucumber all came out really nice. So even though it's a bit dull, it does work. Just for comparison's sake, this crinkle cutter I did a couple years ago, let's do a quick comparison of the two of these, because I kind of have a feeling this one worked better. I kind of go back and forth here. I'll do a couple cuts here with this one. Now a couple cuts with this one. Oh, it's way sharper. It's way sharper. It only took me 2 cuts to realize that this one's sharper than this one. This one's easier to hold. You have more control over, but this one is sharper. So you kind of got to pick which one is right for you. I do like the way this one looks and feels a little bit better, although this one is sharper. Let's take a look at the mini grip jar opener. I paid $13.99 for this. Currently has a 4.3 star rating. So it's like we got a 3-pack. We have blue, black, and purple. Now they claim that it has a dual surface design that helps open all types of lids while keeping your hands comfortable. Pocket size can be attached to a keychain. They say it can be used on containers up to 4 inches in diameter. Most of the positive reviews I saw pointed out how compact and convenient it was to use, but there were some complaints about the size and the grip. It's like pretty minimal instructions, so we'll have to see how this actually works. All right, let's give this a shot now. I've got 10 things to test this on, so we should have a good idea at the end how it actually works. Let's start with something very small. I thought maybe something like baby food might be a good one to start off with because it's small and it can be a bit difficult to open in some cases. Here we go, the first test. Placing it over the baby food. And It seemed to work pretty well, but it does seem a little bit small. Like you kind of have to kind of finagle your hand over it, but it did work. Baby food, check. We got some Pace picante sauce here. Let's try that now. I mean, they're showing it in their demonstration over a really small bottle, which I'll try also, but how about larger bottles? They say it would go up to 4 inches. I also have this ring kind of in my way a little bit too, but let's see. Well, it worked as far as that goes. I'm just worried this is going to get in the way as they get larger and larger. But so far, so good. Speaking of little bottles, let's try it on a soda bottle here. They're kind of showing them gripping it like this, which you'll try. All right, not bad at all. That was actually quite easy. It seems like it's pretty well geared for these smaller lids, but we're moving up to bigger ones soon. We'll see how that goes. Gatorade bottle. All right, took a little bit of elbow grease, but it did work. So far, so good. It just seems very small. I wish it was a little bit wider. All right, a small jar of Italian sauce here. It does fit over it. It feels like you really have to kind of get it centered in there though, but it did work. I'm struggling a little bit with the size, but I'm also making it work. How about a classic jar of peanut butter? These are always problematic, right? And this is under the 4 inches they say is the maximum, so this should be not a problem. So once again, the ring is a little bit in the way there, and it does just fit over it. Well, that was no problem whatsoever. How about some peanuts here? This is another one that sometimes can be difficult to open, but not in this case. It's kind of easy actually. This marshmallow cream with a very large lid, but it should be under the 4 inches. See, we're only 3.5 inches. Plenty of room, plenty of room. I don't know how you're gonna do it without that ring being in the way. Let me see. Oh, that's really pushing it. But it was no challenge whatsoever because it wasn't really stuck. Now that was all the preliminary, that was the opening act. My last two should be more of a challenge. Let's see. Let's try a jar of pickles. And it should be under the 4 inches. Well, yeah, we're about 3.5 inches, so plenty of room, plenty of room. All right, so once again, that ring is really right there. I'll do my best to work around it. Pickle juice, oh man. So the pickles really weren't that easy. I don't think I got a ton of grip from this because it was all the way out of the edges. Even though it was under the 4 inches, I didn't feel like it was that easy. And last but not least, we have an open jar of grape jelly that's kind of stuck. The lid's certainly small enough, so let's see what happens here. Okay, well, not bad, not bad. The smaller the lid, the more effective this is. You start getting towards the upper end of the range, not nearly as effective. So I wouldn't say this is a universal jar opener, but it does work well when your lids are small. This is the SafeGrate. I paid $12.99 for this. Currently has a 4.0 star rating among just under 1,000 reviews. Or here it is. It feels kind of thin and cheap, I must say. But maybe that doesn't mean it won't work though. They claim that it's a greater finger guard for cutting or grating. They say it makes food prep more fun by removing the danger of hurting yourself. Good for all ages, including children who want to help in the kitchen. Good for chopping, grating, and zesting. Now, the general consensus on Amazon is that it does what it's supposed to do, which is keep your fingers safe. But there was a few who didn't like it who said that it wasn't easy to hold, it's difficult to clean, and it's not good for softer items. This is an interesting looking gadget. I'm kind of curious to see how it works. They show it being used for things like graters and for cutting, even kids using it, so that's gotta be easy to test out, right? I wanna try it on one of the most basic things that I usually grate around here, which is a hunk of cheese. Normally you would hold the cheese in your hand with your fingers kind of close to the grater and hopefully not get cut. But let's stick the cheese in here. Now, one thing I'm noticing is if you can open it up, but it feels like you're bending the metal. How long is that gonna last? And they kind of show the cheese just kind of sticking out like that, so that's what I'm gonna do. Fingers safely behind the SafeGrate. Well, my initial observation is it does allow me to hold onto the cheese pretty tightly, so I don't feel like it's gonna slip out of there. There's these little spikes here that hold the cheese in place, so it does a good job with that. And I don't feel like I'm in danger of hurting my fingers, so that's a good thing. So far, so good with this one. Let me turn this around here a little bit. It does seem like you kind of have to get it at the right angle. Like it took me a second to get in there. Now I'm getting to the bottom here and now it's just kind of metal on metal. Can you grip on just the very edge of that? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, no, you can't. You're gonna be left with kind of a pretty big chunk at the end because it's kind of hard to get a grip with that much. So I don't know. It does work until the very end, then it doesn't work so well. And now I gotta clean that out. All right, clean it pretty well with the kitchen brush, so let's move on to the next item here. They were showing something like a cucumber being cut and a child holding it. I'm just gonna cut it into a smaller chunk here to kind of simulate when you're getting to the end, your fingers are in the danger zone. So I think you're supposed to have it like this where the SafeGrate is actually on the board itself. Oh yeah, that's working quite well. It's holding it very well in place. Once again, we get to the end here though, We have this, about this much. Let me see if I can get any more out of this. That's about as far as we're gonna get. Let's see what we got. So not bad really. It felt pretty solid when I was cutting and didn't feel like it was moving around, and it held in place. I kind of like it for this particular function. Try with a carrot now. Carrot on the cutting board, SafeGrate on the cutting board, and hold it in place. It does, again, it feels very sturdy. It's holding it quite well, and it holds it all the way until you get right up to it. For cutting, I think it works maybe even better than grading. So I'm kind of a fan of this. All right, so it's worked pretty well so far, but I have one more test, and that is my rematch against the Dream Farm Core Peel. If you remember that review, I cut my finger on this thing. I cut my finger on it. Man, that's quick. Oh, and I just cut my finger. I mainly bought the SafeGrate in response to this. I thought maybe I could try using it for this and see if I'll save my fingers next time. Let's try it out. All right, so the way the core peel is supposed to work is you're supposed to run the corn across there, and it cuts it nicely. I mean, it works really well. The only problem is I got my thumb really close to that, and it cut it. It cut my thumb. I'm just wondering if I can somehow use the SafeGrate in this and not cut myself. Can I do it? I don't know if I can do it or not. Let's see. I mean, that feels a little bit, it feels a little bit awkward. It feels a little awkward. Let's see if I can do it though. Oh, I did it. I totally did it. Take it out, rotate it. Oh, we're on a roll. We are on a core peel versus SafeGrate roll. I mean, it takes a little bit more effort, a little more steps to it, but your fingers are definitely safe here. All right, so it worked. All right, so as far as I can tell, the SafeGrate, I mean, it's not perfect. It seems like for grading, it's a little bit awkward. For cutting, it was pretty solid. And even for the core peel, it did work. I think this is one of those ones that will work depending on your situation, but I do worry a little bit about long-term durability because that hinge section seems like it will wear out at some point. So we'll have to see how this holds up over time. Let's take a look at this pan organizer. I paid $18.97 for this. Currently has a 4.5 star rating among almost 18,000 reviews. Also an Amazon's choice. So we got some instructions here, which minor assembly. It looks like it's like one loose foot here and then some screws inside. But they claim that it can efficiently store up to 5 pans or lids, saving valuable space. They say it can be used vertically or horizontally, can also be used with cutting boards or other items. Now, most people online who liked it, they said it's durable and keeps pans or lids organized. The main complaints I saw online were that it doesn't save much space, so it's not very sturdy. So I have to read this over, assemble this properly, and then get started. All right, assembly went pretty well. It was just a matter of attaching 2 sections with 2 screws. So now we're ready to load this up and see how it works. I'm gonna start off with a nice heavy 12-inch pan from Ninja. Let's see, the Ninja Foodie Never Stick goes on the bottom shelf. So far, so good, feels pretty sturdy. Let's keep going on the heavy side with the Hexclad. This is probably the heaviest pan I have here, and it's holding pretty well as well. I did want to try a lid. I have this nice big 12-inch lid here, which should work pretty well. Then it does. It does. Now this one I don't really use anymore because it's kind of old, but I wanted to try this one because it's square, and that's the Granite Rock pan. And that's going there as well. Cherry on top with my Sensarte pan, and that's it. All right, so all 5 of them are in there, and it is holding in place. Not bad. I was kind of worried because they're pretty heavy. And because I have to admit, when I first started this off, I did it wrong. When I first tested this out, I didn't realize there was a top and a bottom to it. Didn't really make that clear in the instructions, but you can see this is the bottom right here. If you have it upside down like this, which I did for a few minutes, everything just slid right off. And I looked at it more closely, I said, oh, this is the bottom. So, but it is kind of sliding. It is kind of sliding. Once you put it in the right configuration, it works quite well. Otherwise, everything's gonna slip off. But there's another way to use this here, and that is on the side. The only problem with the side is you only get 4 slots instead of 5. Because on 5, you can stack it on the top here. Like this, you only get 4. But let's try that. Ninja Foodie Never Stick. Hexclad, slot number 2. Granite Rock, slot number 3. Sensarte, and slot number 4. Well, it's not falling over, so that's a good thing. It seems like it's pretty sturdy. Once again, you only have 4 though. I could put my large lid in here instead, and that does work as well. So I think I like it vertically because you get 1 extra storage slot there. My 2 heaviest pans on here seem like if it's gonna hold those, it's gonna hold anything. I'm not sure I'm going to use this, but you can apparently mount this to the side of a cabinet or a wall. I'm not going to do that yet, but I do think I'm going to use it. Just out of curiosity, I wonder what happens if I put my heavier ones on top. Hex clad on the very top there. This is not really advisable to do this. I'm just kind of curious. Next up, the Ninja Foodie Never Stick. It seems a little wobbly, a little top heavy, but we have nothing on the bottom yet. Granite rock, Sensarte. We'll put my small emerald pan on the very bottom. Now, if it can hold them kind of in reverse order from heaviest to lightest, I think it can pretty much hold almost anything. Now, I certainly don't advise doing this, but I'm kind of impressed that it passed that test. Well, that's it as far as this collection goes. Let's rank all these from number 4 to number 1. I would say number 4, I'm gonna have to go with the mini grip jar opener. It just seems a little bit too small. It certainly works on smaller caps, but I think that unless you have a reason to have a jar opener with you, this isn't as good as what you'll find in your kitchen already. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the Crinkle Cutter. I think it's pretty good. It's not quite sharp enough though for my taste. I like the grip. You have more control over it. I just wish it was a little sharper. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the SafeGrate. I think that it pretty much works as advertised, and I did feel like my fingers were safe grading and cutting, although cutting seems a little bit better. I really only worry about this one long term because the material seems kind of cheap. And that takes me to number 1. I'm gonna say the pan organizer. This one held my heaviest pans on the bottom. It didn't even seem like it was close to being tipped over. So as far as I can tell, this one works as advertised. But that's all I've got. If you've tried any of these products, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.